Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Bad Movie Night. My name's Chris, and tonight I checked out The New Mutants. It's written and directed by Josh Boone. Obviously a superhero movie. Not sure why I checked this out, honestly. I'm not a big superhero fan. I like Blade. I like Hellboy. Obviously those aren't like the staples of the Marvels kind of movies. And this is related to the X-Men. And I think I liked a few of those movies. I haven't seen them all. But I was interested in this because, from my understanding, it was supposed to be a mix of superhero and horror, which has been done before. You had movies like Chronicle and that recent one, Brightburn, but I'm not always interested in kind of a cross-genre type thing. I think there is a nugget there of something interesting. So the movie's about these teenagers who are kind of sent to this medical hospital type place where they're being kept prisoner because they're supposed to be learning to control their powers and deal with their internal conflicts because they are a danger to themselves and others. Led by Alice Braga, who plays Dr. Reyes, who's really the only doctor in this whole facility and the only other person who isn't one of these teen mutants. So as the movie goes on, a dark presence starts to kind of haunt the facility, and then superhero stuff happens by the end. So this movie feels like a bit of a mess. I'm going to try and be a little more lenient because I definitely don't think this is tailored towards me. Like I said, I'm not a superhero guy. I probably shouldn't have watched this. So I'm not going to shit all over it just because I don't like superhero movies. But that doesn't mean there's not some serious, like, weird issues with this movie. It cost like $60 to $80 million to make this thing, and for some reason it feels so unbelievably cheap. I was trying to figure out exactly why it feels so cheap, but maybe it's because they wander around these halls and it's just so empty. It's devoid of any other characters besides these teens. You have some decent actors. You have Maisie Williams, you have Anna Taylor-Joy, who I really like from a lot of, genre movies. I think she's a pretty phenomenal actress. Then you have all these actors sit around and try to do the worst accents I've ever heard in my life. It comes off so unbelievably bad and cheesy and cringy a lot of times. And that's the thing, like, I understand this is based on a comic, and I know they already made changes because I think the one guy, Nitro or whatever, was supposed to be a black character and they whitewashed him to be a white guy. So if you're already making changes from the comics, unless you can legit do an accent correctly, it doesn't sound authentic or real. It sounds cheesy and it takes you out of the movie. The other thing with this movie is it's obviously seems teen focused. There's lots of teen melodrama. So that's not geared towards me as well. You have these moments. It's like 50 some minutes in the movie before there's even a real conflict of danger for any of these characters. In the meantime, it's all teen melodrama. And, you would think we would take the time to learn in depth more about the characters, but almost every interaction seems so surface and pointless in a way that you get from teen dramas where it's all about these overt feelings people have for each other, like in a Twilight, instead of the real exploration of nuances of people and their feelings and their, histories and how that affects them. Because all these characters are supposed to have some sort of tragic-esque backstory to them. But it's all revealed in surface ways, like I said. It doesn't really end up working because you don't really care too much about any of these characters. So when they say, I'm a victim of this, and it shows you a creepy 3-second clip of it, it explains them, I guess, but it doesn't make me feel for them in any way. You also have Maisie Williams and the main character are supposed to be a love interest, but they introduce these things in such sloppy ways. We learn that Maisie Williams is a lesbian because she's watching an episode of Buffy where two women kiss. And it's it feels like it's an afterthought. They didn't have anything on the TV when she was doing that scene, and then later they're like, well, this could imply she's a lesbian, so we'll add this Buffy in later. And they keep adding in scenes from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which, don't get me wrong, I like the show, but it's weird. So that's the thing, I get it, I'm not a superhero guy, I'm not into teen melodramas, but 50 minutes into the movie, that's so much time where basically nothing is happening. And then the way they start introducing the horror elements are edited so badly, they're so ineffective. There's no tension to any of it. It's either super quick or super predictable, and I get that it's, not focused for a veteran horror fan, but still, try a little bit. I feel like a lot of the editing or something in this movie doesn't feel like there's much effort put into it. There's a sequence where Dr. Reyes, I don't know if I'm saying that right, if her name was Dr. Reyes or something, but Alice Braga's character is talking to our main character, And it's so goddamn boring, and it goes on for 5 minutes of just dialogue, and it's just cut between reversals of them over the shoulder. It's the most boring way to film a scene. It is down and dirty, what you know will work, but no creative effort is put into it. I was watching it, and I was getting so frustrated as they were cutting back in between. I was like, at least put a wide in, and they finally do for like a second, but it's such a lazy attempt. Like, get a little creative. There's like nothing creative in any of the camera stuff in this movie at all, or any of the shots, any of the lighting, nothing. It's just so standard and boring. You had $90 million in one location. You could have at least lit it cool or done something interesting, but they didn't. I mean, a lot of these scenes do feel stilted and stiff and almost like the performers aren't performing together sometimes. It cuts back to people's reactions, and it feels like the mood in the air is not the same between these reactions. So I don't know if it's just different takes and it's shoddily edited together where it just doesn't flow naturally to me, or maybe I'm just being picky. I don't know. It just comes off cheap feeling the whole time. So I don't know. I don't know if this is supposed to appeal just to superhero fans or horror fans. It certainly didn't work for me as a horror fan. And the superhero elements seem kind of weak too. I mean, that's the thing in like these superhero movies. You should at least get those cool moments where they're being badasses. And you have a little bit with Anna Taylor-Joy's character, but not enough to like satisfy me in any way. I mean, audiences nowadays are so spoiled with what they get and the quality they get. So this ending sequence that's all CGI, it's just really not impressive anymore. I mean, in some ways, yes, it's extremely impressive, but in other ways, because it's so expected, and you get this kind of stuff from TV shows and whatever half the time, it's just run-of-the-mill at this point. I mean, that's kind of harsh to hear because of the amount of work and effort people put into creating those CGI moments like that, but unfortunately, it just kind of comes off as unimpressive in this movie. I do think there's a nugget there. Like I said, I like the idea of taking superheroes and mixing them with a horror thing, and I think the setup kind of works. Although, like, there's other things that have done this setup. I've just watched The Boys season 2, and they have a sequence almost exactly like this. So it's nothing really unique. I wish I knew what the comic storyline was, if it's different than this. I assume it's different. I think it's pretty well received, the comic. And this movie I don't think is. But I don't know exactly what changes they made. But I can't imagine they made them for the better because the story in this movie is so weak. I do like the message it tries to get at by the end, the theme of not letting fear consume you and kind of standing up for yourself, you know, against these things and being yourself. Like, it's got a positive message in that. And if it's teen focused, I appreciate that. So, yeah, I mean, I guess I was disappointed. I think this could have been better, even if it wasn't something for me. I think from my understanding, the source material is pretty good, and the fact that this comes off so lazy to me is disappointing. There's good actors, the budget's there. There's no reason this couldn't have been something really great, I think. But unfortunately, the pacing is bad, the story's not really that interesting, the performances feel weird and awkward and cringy sometimes. The effects are fine, they're nothing special though. And yeah, that's kind of it. Nothing special, and for whatever reason, this movie feels incredibly cheap. Yeah, I don't know. Let me know what you think, though. If you've seen the New Mutants and you liked it, let me know. If you've read the comic books, and if they're good, let me know. But yeah, that's going to do it, guys, for the New Mutants. Let me know what I should be watching, and I'll catch you here next time. Goodbye.